Next up in our Big 12 preview is the BYU Cougars, who Dalton kind of went through a wake-up call next year going from the Group of 5 to the Big 12. They were 29-9 from 2020 to 2022, but they went 5-7 last year, their first losing season in 6 years. And the grades were even uglier for them. They had the 6th worst overall grade in the Power 5 at 70.8. Now, they have basically the same roster as last year, so maybe they can improve with another year of experience, but they have some significant questions, though, at quarterback that they need to answer if they want to make a bowl game. But what is the biggest strength, Dawn, for the Cougars next year?
Look, traditionally they have a very good offensive line and very good in pass protection, and that still holds, right? They lost Kingsley Suamataia, their left tackle, to the NFL draft going to the Kansas City Chiefs, but they bring back the rest of a unit that had a top 20 pass blocking grade last year. So, look, it's kind of the tradition of BYU to have good offensive lines, right? Especially in pass protection to give your quarterback a chance to succeed back there, no matter who it is, and that's continuing at the very least next year.
Yeah, the biggest weakness, though, is who's behind them at quarterback. The situation at quarterback is not great right now. Right now, we'll talk about him in just a second, but Jake Retzlaff is the favorite to win that quarterback job as of right now. But he had the 4th worst passing grade in the Power 5 last year at a 46.7. Jerry Bohannon is an intriguing transfer coming in. He has an 84.6 grade over his last 2 years of playing, but the problem is he didn't play at all in 2023 because he had a major injury to his throwing shoulder. So who knows what he looks like as a passer now coming off that injury. Again, he looked really good at Baylor and UCF when he was playing there. And like I said, almost an 85 grade over those 2 years. But coming off that major shoulder injury, man, it's really interesting to see how he comes back from that. But tell me more about the current favorite to win the job as of right now, Dawn, and that is Jake Retzlaff.
I mean, he came in last year when you're talking about coming in for Keaton Slovis, who was struggling over there, and it's just it's kind of just a model of instability right now for BYU at quarterback. And Retzlaff, look, there's some nice throws, especially over the middle of the field in his tape. He's reasonably mobile. He can get some things done, but the problem is there's too many big mistakes, right? He only played 4 games, right? Started 4 games, 9 turnover-worthy plays, 6 fumbles. You don't see – there's stretches where you go, okay, this looks like a competent quarterback, and then there's a huge mistake that comes right behind maybe 4 or 5 good plays in a row, right? I mean, there's times where he's telegraphing. There's times where he's holding the ball too long and trying to do too much and then fumbling, getting stripped. There's other times where it's just like his mechanics are just a little bit off, like he's rushing. Now, again, you come in and start in the middle of the season, it's tough. You come in and you start week 1 and you have the whole offseason to prepare. Maybe you calm down a little bit. You stop doing dangerous things with the football. But I do think he's going to be on a short leash because if nothing else, Bohannon's been in the Big 12 before he went to USF. He's a veteran. He's got a lot of experience. Maybe Bohannon can come in there and calm things down if he's healthy. But Retzlaff, he's got to cut down the big mistakes. That's the biggest problem right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And one guy you can really rely on next year is Chase Roberts, his wide receiver. 6'4", 210 pounds, but he has blazing speed, man. According to our GPS tracking last year, he had a top speed of 22.3 miles per hour. That was the fastest of any Big 12 receiver last year, including Xavier Worthy, who broke the freaking 40-yard dash record at the NFL Combine running a 4.21. Now, I don't think Chase Roberts is running a 4.2 or in the 4.1s, but he's a very, very fast receiver on the field, at least. And he was targeted on almost 26% of his routes last year, the 6th highest rate in the Big 12. As you can imagine, separates really, really well with that speed. Had an 85th percentile separation rate over the last 2 years among FBS receivers. The one issue with him is, yes, he's bigger at 6'4", 210, but he needs to play up to that size a little bit more. He only caught 2 of his 10 contested targets this past season, so not really great at the catch point. But like I said, man, he can separate really well. He has blazing speed. He has great size at the position as well. I think he'll be the favorite target for either Bohannon or Retzlaff, whoever is the quarterback for BYU next year.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they're going to need their stars to play up, right? And one of the stars on defense is their best edge defender, Tyler Batty, who was the third best edge defender in the Big 12 last season, and one of just three to place a 70 grade in both the run game and in the pass rush. 6'5", 275, just a really balanced game that gives you faith that their defensive line can get things going in both aspects of the game, right? Because, BYU, they're going to have to win in the trenches, right? O-line and their D-line too. But Tyler Batty, if they're going to win up front on defense, is a really good place to start as a balanced, adaptable defensive end.
Absolutely. So, Dalton, Kalani Sitake, even after some really, really great years, or some people think he might be a little bit on the hot seat entering 2024 after coming off a losing season. Do you agree with that? Do you think he should get a little bit longer leash considering how good they were in the prior years? And what do you expect out of the BYU Cougars next year?
It's tough with hot seats, and each fan base has a different level of hot seat. We've even seen Ryan Day on the hot seat, right, when he wins 11 games every year. So it is. So there's part of it is a perspective thing, but I think just like Cincinnati or some of these other teams that just moved into the Big 12, there's an adjustment period. Instead of playing a Mountain West schedule every week or an American schedule every week, you got to get used to, and you have to catch up to the talent level of your opponents now, right? And so far, at least in the first year, they didn't show that. Now, were they competitive still? Yeah, 5-7 is not the worst. They're not the worst team in the country, but finding a way to break through that and consistently win at this level is an obstacle, right? I don't know if he should be on the hot seat yet. I'm not the one that gets to decide those things, thankfully, but I do think it would help his cause a lot at the very least if he made a bowl game this year.
I think it would too, and I think one of the reasons why is that, they went 5-7, but two of those 5 wins were against FCS teams, so they only beat 3 FBS teams last year, and they went 11-1 in 2020, but they kind of declined over the last 3 years. So I do think his seat's getting warmer at least. He did sign a contract extension in 2021 that goes through 2027, so that they might not fire him because of that. But I do think that his seat's getting a little bit warmer at least. But I mean, you look at this team right now, man. The questions at quarterback and everything else. It's tough for me to say, like, oh, yeah, they're going to make a bowl game this year. Like, I think a 4-8 season, a 5-7 season is another one's in the cards for them. And it's been like 20 years since BYU's had back-to-back losing seasons, but they have to improve basically everywhere and find an answer at quarterback in order to get a winning season, right? So I think that it could be the first time in 20 years that BYU has back-to-back losing years, which is unfortunate for the Cougars, but that's kind of the state of the program right now as they continue to get adapted and get their feet wet in the Big 12. But that's what we got for our preview of the BYU Cougars. Hey, thanks for watching the PFF College Football Show. Before I let you go, though, we have an unbelievable deal for you guys right now. If you use the code CFB25, you get 25% off your PFF Plus annual subscription. We've got the 2024 College Football Preview Guide that you can find over at pff.com, featuring the best players in the country from all 70 Power 5 teams, plus 10 Group of 5 teams that have the best chance at making the college football playoff as well. You can also gain access to NCAA premium stats for historical games, teams, and player tracking dating all the way back to 2014, so the last decade or so of college football. All the stats you can hope for, you can find in PFF Premium as well. Also, you can be the GM of your favorite NFL team with our unbelievable mock draft simulator where you can draft up to 7 rounds of players for your NFL team. And if you want to dominate your fantasy league, you can do that as well using the best fantasy tools on the planet. All of that and more with your PFF Plus annual subscription, which you can find for 25% off right now with the code you can find in the description. Or if you want to go to subscribe.pff.com and use the code CFB25 at checkout. Again, you get 25% off your PFF Plus subscription. This won't last forever, so make sure you take advantage of it right now.